So it's time to talk about the one thing that NBA fans love the most, and that's lists and rankings and all that, which don't really mean anything, but they're fun to talk about anyway. And it's time for some people to get mad at me, because that's what you're asking for when you do one of these things. Let's start with top 10 point guards. And let me throw in a couple of caveats, because that's always a requirement with these, so you don't get people too angry at you. I have no idea what to do with John Wall, so he's just not here. I'm not considering Luka a point guard. I'm not considering James Harden or Drew Holiday, because when I look at those two, I see shooting guards. I don't know. Now, I guess I could consider LeBron a point guard, but I just don't feel like it, because I think that just makes the conversation a little less interesting. The top 5 for me would be Steph, Dame, Kyrie, Russ, and Kemba in that order. Steph, number 1, pretty damn self-explanatory. Dame climbing up this for me is just a lot to do with, Russ's efficiency getting worse. Although if you want to argue that Russ's efficiency will go up with Houston, you could dive in on that. Whereas with Dame, the dude's becoming a better shooter, I would say. His leadership is better than Kyrie's after, that last year with the Celtics. So, yeah. As far as Westbrook being at number 4 for me, I mean, I'm not really on the, Westbrook is falling off train. Do I recognize that he's not as amazing as he was, in his MVP season? Yeah. But still, the dude does so much, and his all-around game is still really, really awesome, to where I think you got to have him there. Russ and Kemba, I have Kemba number 5. I guess that one, I thought about for a little bit. Shot making versus all the stuff Russ does, but I don't know, my gut I feel like Russ is still better than Kemba Walker, even if he might be a little more frustrating sometimes. The thing with Kemba, though, is we're going to see him on a team now where he can actually win some games, so there's a chance he could establish himself as really high on this thing, and maybe you already have Kemba really high or really low within the context of top 5, but I got him right there at number 5. 6 through 10, it's and this is starting at 6, ending at 10. We got Mike Conley, Ben Simmons, Kyle Lowry, Chris Paul, and D'Lo. So I'm just gonna go right to Kyle Lowry, because this is the most interesting one to me. I'll admit, when I first did the list, I actually didn't have him in the top 10. And it's because with Lowry, I think it's when he's good, he's boring, and when he's bad, he's really bad. In terms of the dude had a 0-point playoff game. And, that was the first thing I thought of. But then I realized, well, look, in the finals, the dude averaged 16 and 7. He was really good in game 7. I think he always has a little bit of box score doesn't tell the whole story going on with him. And I think you just kind of have to have him in there. Even though, you look at regular season numbers between D'Lo and Lowry. D'Lo probably had a better regular season, But it didn't sit right with me to not have Lowry somewhere here. I guess we can look at D'Lo at number 10 now. I thought about De'Aaron Fox a little bit, but the reason I took D'Lo is his regular season was that good, Now he wasn't so good in the playoffs, and I'm not really holding that against him. He got them there, and that was really good. But if I'm going to start putting you up against other dudes, I got to pick out some things. It's the way we do this, right? So D'Lo's at number 10. And as far as why he's number 10 at point guard, but I don't have Drew Holiday in here, I don't know, man. The whole what position are they thing, that's almost as loaded as the ranking itself, so don't know. I don't have Drew Holiday, because I just think of him more as a 2-guard. Now, I mentioned De'Aaron Fox. There's also Jamal Murray and Trae Young and whoever the hell else. I just went with D'Lo. I don't know what to tell you. You could go with one of those guys, and I wouldn't really dispute it too much. Chris Paul at number 9. A lot of it's health. If CP was ready to play 77 games this year, I would have him higher, very high, as in pushing Kemba Walker out of the top 5 high. But look, he's played 58 games the last 2 seasons, and I mean, I know you could be like, what about Steph Curry's health? I mean, am I going to not put Steph Curry at number 1? Do you have the guts to do that? Because I don't. Also, Steph played like 70 games a year ago. Like, it's fine. It's fine with Steph. As far as 6 and 7, Mike Conley and Ben Simmons. I mean, you know, everybody says Mike Conley's underrated, and then I look up like rankings on Reddit or Twitter or whatever just to get an idea of like what other people think, and everybody has Mike Conley at like number 10 or outside of it, and I'm like, am I losing my mind right now? Mike Conley's freaking awesome. Like, y'all say he's the most underrated player. We all agree with that, and then you prove why he's still underrated when you make a ranking. So Mike Conley's number 6, basically. Look, his 3-point percentage is there. His free throws are there. He has one of the best assist-to-turnover ratios in the whole league. His usage rate kept on going up with the Grizzlies. He got up to like 20 points a game, and I mean, he and Gasol were the reason why the Grizzlies didn't become a disaster the past couple of seasons, right? Because the roster was not good. So yeah. And then as far as Ben Simmons at number 7, hey, he's Ben Simmons. He's at number 7. That's all I got for you. Let me go look at ESPN's top 100, see if there's any obvious one that like they put in that I didn't put in. They have Chris Paul as the 32nd best player, Lowry at 39th. I've mentioned every point guard they've had in here so far. Then there's a pretty big gap, and then it goes to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So I'm just going to assume I got everybody. Okay, to the top 10 point guards. What do I have again? It's Steph, Dame, Kyrie, Russ, Kemba, Mike Conley, Ben Simmons, Kyle Lowry, Chris Paul, D'Lo, and then a bunch of other guys who you could put in at the bottom thing, and I wouldn't argue with you at all.